everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our Summer Space Shape Up round 2. Absolutely. And so today we're going to talk about week 3 and what that means for us because pattern paper is up on the chopping block. Yes, we're going to talk about pattern paper today. But before we get to that, we have some other things to talk about in level 1, level 2, and in level 3. If you want to do any of it or none of it, it doesn't matter. You just hop in and hop off whenever you want in this series. It's just, there's no wrong way to do it. It's just whatever you want to work on. Absolutely. Okay, so in week 3, I wanted to say something real quick. If you want to see more talk about this Summer Space Shape Up for each week, I had a video last summer, so I will have it listed below, so just hop over and watch that, and it'll say week 3 round 1, and so you can watch that because we'll talk about a little bit more things, because what I talked about last summer I may not talk about because things change. And then also too, in this series we're talking about level 3, and my lovely subscriber and friend Christine asked if I could make a list of those level 3 notes, and so that's what I'll do. If you look in the show more notes below, I will have a level 3 note, and I will keep adding to that as we go along, and then when the series is done I will type that up and include it in a PDF and send it over to the gals in Deborah's Facebook group. Yes, and I will have Deborah's Facebook group called Love RTS. Wonderful group of ladies. I will have that listed below, so go over and those ladies will help you find the PDF for this. Okay, so let's see. Week 3. Maintain your desk and work surface, and truly, if that is all you do for our Summer Space Shape Up, you got it all going on, because that's all you need to do, because you want to keep recording the story and keep scrapbooking over the summer. So if that's all you do, even if it's just putting things in bins and baskets, that's just what you need to do, because sometimes our brain is not in the mood to organize, so don't worry about that. And then we talked last week about cardstock. How did that work for you? And so my progress report on that is that I absolutely took my cardstock out of my cubby hole, and I don't have as much cardstock sitting out and about as I do pattern paper, because if I have an overflow of cardstock, I keep it packed away because I don't need every piece of cardstock in my face. It's just if I have a color that's running low, I'll go to my closet and refill it, but I don't have a lot at one time. It's just a cubby hole. So I cleaned the cubby hole, and then of course my papers are already in rainbow order as far as my cardstock, but I absolutely did go through every color family and go from light to dark, and it really wasn't that much work. It took me less than 15 minutes because it was in good shape already. So I was pleasantly surprised about that. Yes, so absolutely. For level 1, just get all your cardstock in one place. That's all you have to do. And so then we talked about our classes and sketches and inspiration. And so I got that all taken care of. And so I think I may absolutely do a little bit of a label my little file box, and it'll say inspiration or classes or something like that. I think I may do that. But I did get asked the question if I could share where I get my free sketches, and I will have 3 main places I visit for free sketches. There's lots of places to get sketches, but for free, you can't beat it. So I will have that listed below. And then also I will have a video coming up talking about inspiration, because sketches is one thing, but inspiration is another thing, and I will have a video coming up talking about inspiration and showing you an inspiration box I have that was pre-Pinterest days. So that will be coming up, so keep an eye out for that. So let's talk about week 3, level 1. What's our job this week? Well, first of all, address a handful of photos, and we talked about that, and you'll notice that probably every week we talk about photos, because photos is something you just need to think about every single week in this hobby. It's a big category, and I have said this before, I honestly think that's why card making is more popular than scrapbooking. It's because of photos. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. Photos is what just makes people go to another hobby, because it is a complicated topic. Okay, and we have a photo series going on. I'm getting ready to wrap that up, so head over and see that. So what did I get done? You want to see my progress when it comes to my photos? Here we go. Not a darn thing. No, I didn't get anything done because I ran out of envelopes. So I had to put it on the shopping list, and my hubby will bring some home. So yeah, I didn't get anything done, and that's just the way it goes. You just put it on the table and do it again next week. So I will address that when I get some envelopes. But you know, you can only do so much. And don't you just love that when you're in the middle of an organizing project and you run out of product? Ugh, it happens to me all the time. I don't live near everything, so you know how that works. Okay, so even if you want to address a handful of photos, if you're not in the mood to organize, that doesn't mean you can't go print some photos or go order some photos. So just something about photos, give them some attention. Or maybe pull out a handful of photos for your next layout. How fun is that? So then let's talk about crop bags. If you are someone who goes to crops, let's talk about that for a minute. So what you can do is address your crop bags or bag, however many you have, or your crop wagon, whatever you take along to your crops. Now, if you're someone who attends a lot of crops, you certainly want to keep those crop bags packed continuously because you don't have to keep redoing it all the time. But maybe open them up, go through them. Are you missing something? Do you need to add something? Or perhaps write up a packing list for when you go to crops, because maybe you're someone who has to pack a crop bag every time you go to a crop and you're forgetting something. So print up a packing list. There's lots of videos on YouTube to look for that, and some even include a packing list. Go on Pinterest, you'll see a crop packing list. You can see that. I don't go to crops, but I usually just take a big old mega kit and my basic toolkit when I travel with supplies. It's nothing major. And then when you're printing your packing list, put that packing list in your crop bag. So then when you go to the crop the next time, if you forget something, say if you forgot an extension cord, or if you forgot maybe ibuprofen, you know, those little things you forget about when you go to a crop, put them on your packing list, and when you get home, update it, and so you'll have it ready for the next crop. So yes, give your crop bags some looking at. And so I have recently went on a couple trips. I came back. I don't have any crop bags to unpack because I have that done. So that was great. It's usually just a 12 by 12 iris bin, or maybe like a little tote bag. It's not nothing major, but I have everything packed away, so I'm good. So now the next thing is shopping bags. Not crop bags, shopping bags. Or maybe you went shopping at your last crop. What shopping bags do you have in your space you need to address? And I have one, and it wasn't from shopping per se. It's just one of these big honkin', and it's a beautiful bag from Tuesday morning. I have that full of these things right here because I have some things I need to be mailing out soon, because there may be some giveaways coming up. Hint, hint, to wink. So yes, I do have that. I do have those to put away. So I do have a shopping bag. It wasn't from shopping per se, but I do have some supplies to put away from the post office. So what shopping bags do you have? Perhaps you have them hidden. That's okay. It's all real around here. We know what it's like to hide shopping bags or boxes that come in the mail. Get those out, get them open, get that stuff put away. Yes, absolutely. So address them, or at least get them out of the boxes, get that trash recycled or disposed of, and get those supplies ready to address whatever you're going to do with them. And then the last thing, the big category for week 3, is pattern paper. Now, why do I list all of these things to do? You would say that's a lot to do in 1 week. That's because you don't have to do it all in 1 week. You don't even have to do any of them. I just list options because you may not be in the mood to talk pattern paper. You may not be in the mood to deal with your cardstock or your sketches or your classes or go through your crop bag. I just list options, and you pick and choose what you want to do. And you don't have to do all of it. It's just options. And so yes, pattern paper is the big job this week. We're going to talk about pattern paper. So for level 1 when it comes to pattern paper, what you're simply going to do is just gather all your pattern paper and put it in a pile so it's protected, away from the sun, away from the dust, and maybe not on the floor. Yes, not on the floor so you don't trip over it. I am so guilty of that. I am beyond guilty of that because I just pick up a pile, put it on the floor, and yes, I'm tripping over it. And so, truth be told, I'm looking around. I have a pile of paper on the floor right now because I've been putting some away. So I'm in the middle of that. So yes, don't put it on the floor, but I have to get on the floor because I store my pattern paper in the bottom of my bookcases because pattern paper is heavy, and definitely do not put pattern paper in the top part of bookcases and shelves. It needs to go on the bottom because it's heavy. You don't want things to tip over. Okay. So yes, I have some pattern paper to put away. I have piles. So in level 1, you're just simply going to put it in a pile, address it later. Okay. But in level 2, we'll talk about that in a minute. But in level 2, when it comes to week 3, you can look at all the above and address them. Or you can go right to level 2, and so what are you going to do? You're going to address a basket or a bin. Okay? Now, let's talk to someone here on YouTube, and that would be my lovely friend, Becky Bidding. She disclosed in last week's Summer Space Shape Up that she's good at doing basket and bins because she has 4 of them underneath her desk. So, Miss Becky, you are challenged now to grab one of your basket or bins, one of your 4, and set that timer for 15 minutes and see what you can get done. Yes, and I want you to check in. What did you do with one of those baskets or bins? I was cleaning some things up in my space recently. Actually, I was cleaning things off my work surface, and I came across these just bits and bobs, and I just need to do something with them. And I started it, I got interrupted, and so this is my basket and bin. It's not too bad, is it? No, absolutely. And I do have, if you want to hang on a minute, I will show you the things I took off my work surface in the last 2 weeks as I've been cleaning. So hang on, I'll grab that. Okay. It's quite a pile. Okay, here we go. This is the items that I took off my work surface, okay? This was things that was on my table, you know, on my desk here. And so I have just everything, duct tape to extra glue to extra binder rings to some scrapbooks. I'm probably going to throw in some Happy Meal, some stamps, and some adhesives that I have extra of. I don't need 6 bottles of this floating. I had an extra pencil sharpener, and then some of these glues just need to be put back in my adhesive bin, okay? And then I have 2 that I'm absolutely going to get rid of because I don't use them. I have replacements. I've never really cared for this, and this is just glossy accents. I'm going to give them to my sister. She can play around with them. I'm done buying glossy accents because I'm tired of dealing with a nozzle, and so I just use that Scotch super glue gel. That's what I've replaced that. So I had took all of this off, and so I need to get rid of it, put it someplace. I'm probably just going to get rid of it. Some of it's going to go into my adhesive, but that is how many items I took off my desk. Things feel much more open and clean and less cluttered. Love that. Okay, so I wanted to show that. So that was my progress on that. Okay, let me put it on the floor here because that's what I have to do when I'm filming. I got to put things on the floor. Okay, so yes, address those basket and bins. And if this is something that creates a problem for you, then you're going to have to stop that habit of putting things in extra baskets and bins. But it is a good placeholder temporarily until you have time to address it. And simply setting that timer for 15 minutes. That's how I conquer anything in life, is 15 minutes. Yes, okay. And so that was also in the level 2 notes is to set the timer for 15 minutes, address a pile of pattern paper. So in level 1, you just put it in a pile. Level 2, you have to actually address it. So maybe, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, if you want to see how I'm going to handle that. And then also, too, I may have some mixers coming up showing how I go through my pattern paper. And then also, too, level 2, do a quick inventory when you're putting some paper away. Make note of it somewhere. We're going to talk about that in level 3 of what you're running low on. I noticed that I'm running low on red paper, and I need to write that in my notebook. Okay, so that's level 1, level 2. Do it all, do it none. Just have fun with something. Absolutely. So let's go to level 3 in this summer space shape up. And that, of course, is pattern paper. So the focus is on pattern paper. So that means you're simply going to spend more than 15 minutes on your pattern paper. And how can you do that? You simply can just take your piles and maybe 15 minutes a day for the next several days, get your pattern paper put away. Now, how do I do that when I'm putting pattern paper away? Okay, is that I just grab a chunk at a time. okay, because I have several of these chunks, because when I'm working on the load event, when I'm done with those papers, I just put them in the pile until the load event's over with, and then I put them away, because sometimes I just don't have time, and sometimes, frankly, I'm just lazy. Yes, let's just admit it. I will be so happy to go pull out a pile of paper, but I drag my feet when I put it back. That's just the way it is, you know. And so I have some papers here, and so we're just going to talk about that. So if you want to grab a drink, we're going to talk about level 3 when it comes to pattern paper, because I get asked a lot about pattern paper. And so what will we talk about first? Okay. So let's talk about the level 3. So if you don't want to hear a lot of chit chat, you can just go on with your day. But what you can do is think about spending more than 15 minutes putting away paper. Maybe you need to think about your paper sections and your paper categories, okay? And so I'll talk about that a little bit more, but maybe just think about where you have your paper. Maybe you need to move it, maybe you need to rearrange it, something. Just give your pattern paper more of attention, okay? And then also to what you can do is get a scrappy notebook, get that established, and that is where you would put your wish list of things that you need, things you need to stop buying. That can go on your wish list too. You can absolutely put in there, do not buy any more 6x6 paper pads, girl, because you have too many. There's nothing wrong with that. Or do not buy any more Christmas paper this year because you have plenty. Yes, and speaking of Christmas, there will be a Christmas in July thing going on around here for a few weeks. So hop over in July and we'll be talking about that. So that's fun. Okay, so let's talk about paper categories and paper sections. Okay, so in my space, I absolutely have a listing of my sections and of my paper categories. Now, I know for level 3, this is a little bit too much talk for some, and that's okay. Just skip it. Work on level 1, work on level 2, or just simply give your pattern paper some love and attention. That's all you need to do for this week. But if you want to talk a little bit more about pattern paper, this is the place to hang out. So in my space, and I'll have a video listed below about organizing paper and paper categories and specialty paper, so there's some other videos to watch, but I simply have my paper in 7 sections, or aka places in my space. And so I have new paper, I have paper pads, I have paper and page kits, because some of my page kits are just made of paper, and then I have cardstock, and then I have themed paper, holiday paper, and then I have paper categories, and then rainbow. So just with my paper, I have it in 7 different places, because each one of those I use in 7 different ways, and so that's why I have it listed out here. Now, I had created a video, so that's why I have it listed out here, but it's absolutely good to see what sections of paper you have. It's not just pattern paper, it's not just cardstock. No, we have paper pads, we have page kits, and then we have new items that come in, and then we have themed items, and we have holiday items, yada yada. And then the big section for me is my rainbow section. Yeah, I would say, or maybe my paper categories. I would say my paper categories and my rainbow section, that's where I have the most paper. And I will tell you, I have a lot of paper. I have a lot of paper. Paper is my main thing. Okay, and so let's talk about that. So my new paper is just in a box in a bin, and it's just where I keep my new collections. It's nothing hard. My paper pads I keep in my closet, not a big deal. My page kits I keep in a closet, no big deal. And again, there's more videos talking about that. And then my cardstock, we talked about that last week. And then also to holiday and theme, I am down to 2 of those, Christmas and fall. I did have Valentine's Day, but I broke that up, and I'll have a video listed below how to break up a theme. So I broke that up. So now we're down to paper categories and rainbow. Okay, so rainbow is exactly what it is. It's all these loose papers that they don't belong to a collection. You bought them separately, and they're basically, the best way to organize them is by rainbow, because that's how you would access them. Now, not everybody has all of these paper sections and paper categories, and that's okay. Some people are simply themed scrapbookers, and that's what you do. You organize your papers how you use them, not what you think people should do as far as categories. It's all a personal preference. So you can see, for me, I am a theme scrapbooker, I'm a category, I'm a collection, I'm a rainbow scrapbooker, and I also scrapbook with paper pads and page kits. So I got it all going on, okay? And I will have this listing of my paper sections and my paper categories. I will have that listed on Deborah's Facebook group. The link will be below. Hop over and those girls will direct you to this PDF. I just wrote them out because I know people had asked me about that. Okay. So also on that, I have my paper categories for my 6x6 pads, and I'll have that video listed below. Yeah, we talk about a lot of paper here, okay, because paper is the main, it is my main supply. It is what I own the most of, and it is what I spend the most organizing. Okay, so let's talk about paper categories, because the rainbow is what it is. It's just in rainbow order, and I have a bottom shelf on a bookcase, and all those papers are in rainbow order. And someone just asked me today, how do I do that on my bookcase? Do I have them in paper holders? No, I do not. I have them just like this, side by side. And since they're in the rainbow system, you can see where red starts and pink starts and green. I don't have them in any paper holders whatsoever. And at one time I did, but I found that I got more paper on my bookcase if I didn't have a paper holder. Yes. So it's definitely a preference of if you like paper holders. I have to sit on the floor because I'm old. I have to sit on the floor to look at my papers. So having a paper holder is great. You can just pull it out and then you can bring that whole paper category to your desk. But I found that I was not doing that. So there was no sense me having paper holders because I was sitting on the floor, and I still sit on the floor to look at my paper categories and my rainbow papers. So having a paper holder not only saved me money, I didn't need them, but I get more paper without paper holders, so I don't use those anymore. But I did for many, many years, because I would grab that entire paper holder, say if it was my red or my orange, or if it was my paper category of floral, and I would bring that to my desk and sit through it, sift through it as I was sitting at my desk. But I find I stopped doing that because I got tired of carrying that paper holder of paper back and forth all the time, so I stopped that. So it's definitely a preference. It's what you like, okay? There's no wrong way with that. Okay, but Totally Tiffany has a lot of paper holders. I will have that channel, her website listed below, and they're very affordable, okay? So when it comes to paper categories, again, here is my list. You can see that I have everything from birthday to crafting to garden to outdoor to patriotic to travel, Western. And it's just in alphabetical order there. And that is how I absolutely have my categories on my shelf, is in in alphabetical order. It's just easier to find. When I'm looking at patriotic, I go to the P's. When I'm looking at outdoors, I go to the O's. Okay? And so it's just easy that way. Now, I will say that when you are doing a paper category, and if this is new to you, you would say, why do you need to come up with a paper category? If you do not scrapbook by a category, then you wouldn't need to. If you're just a theme scrapbooker, categories is the same as theme. Okay, we just call them categories, but it's the same as theme. It's the same thing. But I would say the more different categories you have, the more you micromanage these, the harder it's to find your paper, so don't do that. But there's nothing wrong with having subcategories within your categories. And so what do I mean by that? So in my fun fair, and in my summer, and in my travel, those are the only 3 categories. I have a subcategory. And so in my fun fair, which that is like Disney and Carnival and amusement park and games, in that category, I have a subcategory of stars, because that's where I think to go. And in my summer, I have a subcategory of clouds. That's where I think to go. And in my travel section, I have a subcategory of maps, because that's what I think of it. So there's no wrong answer to that. You put, if you have a subcategory of something, and a subcategory would be one of those things that you look for and you don't know where to look for, then you need to make a subcategory for it within another category. For example, for me, clouds and maps was 2 things that every time I wanted to look for, I didn't know where they were. So I had to make a subcategory for them. I don't want to just have a section for clouds. I don't have that many. And for my maps, I don't have that many. But I had to put it within a category, so I kept trying to figure out where it was, okay? And so you could do that with any stack of paper you have that you keep buying more of, but you're having trouble finding where you locate it, trouble locating it where you put it. Create a subcategory, and there's nothing wrong with listing out your paper categories and putting them in a scrappy notebook, which we'll talk about that in just a minute. And so then there is one group in here that I had a paper category for, and it was ledger, and I could never find it. And then I realized I was never using it because I could never find it, and it was ledger. So not so long ago, I think it was a couple years ago, I pulled all my ledger papers from collections and wherever I had it, and then I put it in a specialty group with my wood grain, because now I know where my ledger papers are and my wood grain and my specialty, and you can watch the video for more details about that. So when it comes to paper categories, you make them in the category that fits your scrapbooking style and the season that you're in. Okay, so now let's talk about your paper categories, and a good way to do that is simply to have a scrappy notebook, and you simply make up a list of your categories and you list them somewhere. So if you can't remember them all, but at least you can have a reference point as to where you can go to look for them. Okay, and I would put it right under the tab of supplies because that's exactly what this is. So yes, level 3. How about maybe writing up a paper category listing and putting it in your Scrappy notebook or on your iPhone, wherever you keep notes, on your desktop, wherever you keep your Scrappy notes. And if you don't have a permanent home for your Scrappy notes, perhaps think about a Scrappy notebook, and I'll have that listed below. So for level 3, you are simply going to give your pattern paper more attention than just putting away. You're going to look at, do I need to change a paper category? Do I need to create a paper category? Or maybe you don't even need categories, okay? It's totally up to you. There's no wrong way. So let's talk about this group here and how do I start this, because I have more than one of these to put away. Okay, so when I'm going through these papers, I will simply sit here and put them in the categories in which I organize and also which I scrap. And then let me say that right now. You can go on the internet and you can find what other people do for paper categories. Tiffany Spaulding talks a lot about that in organizing paper. And she'll say, she says this all the time, just because someone else has 85 categories on their paper list, you don't need 85. You do it the way you want to do it. But for example, if you can combine some of your paper categories, you're going to have less place to have to go to look for your paper. So keep that in mind, okay? So like for my fun fair, I absolutely could have a category just for Disney. I could have a category just for amusement parks, non-Disney. I could have a category that's for games and toys, or I could have a category for stars. And I could have those in 4 or 5 different categories, but it was easier to put them under one umbrella of fun fair and then just add my stars in front of that. So again, the least amount of paper categories you have, the faster you can access your paper. So what I'm saying is, just because someone else has 23, you don't need 23 categories. You can combine and conquer. Absolutely. So let's get to this because I wanted to show a little bit about this. So this is a new paper collection that my lovely friend Kim Ferguson, my close to heart gal, this is, I'll have her channel linked below. This is a new. So this is going to go in my new section because remember I said this was one of my sections. So this is going to go in new. Well, you know where this is going to go. This is ledger. Now, where did these papers come from? Layouts and classes and content and things I've been showing on the channel, or working on load pages, and I'm too lazy to put the stuff away. Honestly, yeah, so I just put it in a pile and I address it because there are days that I want to do something scrappy, but I'm not in the mood. Or sometimes if you have a headache, you want to play with paper, but you just don't want to think about design or pulling anything. I just come and go through my paper. So this is going into ledger. Okay, now this is, what are we going to do? Now, there are some people who absolutely like a paper category of just plaids and a paper category of just stripes. And for me, I have a paper category of just clouds, okay? So you can make your categories if you have a very favorite, for some people it's geometric shapes. Some people it's stripes. Some people it's hearts. You can create a category just for those favorite papers, and then you know exactly where to go. Now these, I don't really know. These are both, okay, I know what they are. They're October afternoon, 9 to 5. So I actually have a category that is called, what is it? Is it office? Yeah, office and calendar, okay? Because this was a problem. I didn't know where to put this office type thing, and I had more than a couple collections. So I now have one called office and calendar, okay? So that's where that's going to go. Easy peasy. Now this one is going into story-based, and I will have a video coming up shortly showing some story-based papers, but that's where that's going, story-based, 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 or I can absolutely put this in my school office and calendar. Okay, I can do that. Okay, that would be fun. This is maps. That's not hard. This is going into, that's going into school. I have school and dance together. Okay, so that's going to go in school and dance. This could be story-based or school. I think school. And sometimes when I put this stuff away, I will absolutely, sometimes I put it in a different place than where it was. It's just, don't give it a lot of thought. okay? Because you'll run across, you know, say, oh, why is it in that category? You can move it, okay? And it's just making a quick decision. Okay, so for this one, I have one in story base, one's going in school, okay? Again, school, absolutely. Now we have a sticker sheet. This isn't even paper, but that's real life. So this needs to go in my Cardabella collection, so I need to know where that goes. This is Cardabella, and this I had this out for filming, so that needs to go back in that collection. And then we have this one. It's Tea Lightful. I think I have a collection with that. Why is that even in there? I have no idea. I don't know. So I need to find the collection that goes with, again, another story-based page. Okay, see, I have maps, story-based pages, and I'm just making piles to my left and to my right here. Okay, so now we have some papers. This was on a recent trip using a Hobby Lobby gift card, and I found some papers. Now I will tell you, these are very, very thin. Wasn't too impressed with the weight, but I wanted the designs, and I just was not trying to use up a gift card, but, you know, it's kind of like a noose around my neck. My hubby kept saying, get that card used, get that card used. Yeah, I've never known a man in my life to want a woman shop more than he does. He just loves when I shop. But then I don't want to spend a lot of time shopping. I try to get away from that. Okay, so I have some wood grain, but these are very thin. So will I put these with my normal floral category? I think I'm going to have to, because you see what I have. Right there's wood grain. Even though these are birch trees, that's going in wood grain. So there is a category. So if you want to be done with the video, level 3 is simply going to give your paper category more love and attention rather than putting in a pile, maybe thinking about your paper categories, and then also too getting out a notebook and making a list of your categories until it is ingrained in your brain what your categories are. Because just there for a minute I had to think, where do I put that 9 to 5? And it really goes in my what did I say? Office and calendar. And then there was another one I recently added within the last year. I think the newest category, and it was my social. There's a lot of like Instagram, Pinterest, hashtag, all that kind of stuff. I didn't know where to put it. I really didn't want to put it in office because it's not really office. So I started one just for social. So that's my newest paper category. And so if that's what if you want to be done with the video, that's all you have to do. Work on those, work on 1, work on 3, work on just 15 minutes a day doing something. But if you want to just keep hanging out, we're just going to keep talking about paper categories. And so I'm actually working on one right now. So that's floral. This will go, even though this is brick, I still put it in wood grain because that's where I see it. And my wood grains are absolutely in rainbow color. I start with my white and I absolutely go clear back to black because I do have black wood grain. Yes. Okay, more floral, and more floral. Yes. These are thin, but I just thought the designs were pretty, and I think they were, I don't know, I think 6 cents or something like that. It was just very cheap. But then of course, you know, I'm not going to say you get what you pay for, but you know, this isn't Cardabella, you know, it is what it is. Look at the beautiful wood grain. Okay, so the reason why I'm sitting here putting this in paper categories, because it's better to have this in paper category and then just go to my florals, or just go to my wood grain, or just go to my story base, rather than taking this pile and going here and going there and making all these backtracking back and forth to get it put away. So if you put it in by category or theme, it's easier that way. More wood grain, more floral. And again, these thin ones are from Hobby Lobby. Very pretty. I will tell you, if they put these on heavier paper, I'm telling you what, this says 69 cents. There is no way in hell I'd be paying 69 cents for that. No, 30 cents more, you can get Cardabella. But anyways, for 6 cents, 10 cents, whatever it was well worth the price. Okay, so again, just floral. Okay, now we have floral that is absolutely a foil. So where do I put that? Well, you can put it in with your foil paper. What I'm going to do is I see floral before I see the foil. Yeah, say that 10 times. So it's definitely going in my floral papers. Okay, so now we have something. Oh, this is nice. See, I don't even know. I don't even remember getting this. But this is going to definitely go in my travel because or it also could go in story base because I have no intention of using a photo with this paper. But I'm going to put it in travel because that's where I would find it. So do I even have travel? Okay, but I will tell you that paper's thicker. Oh, that was $1.99. Not worth $1.99, but it's worth $1. Okay, which is what I paid for it. Okay. And so then I have some foil here, and this is all going into my specialty as foil. So there's another paper category. And this is what I do when I'm working on a pile of paper. I will sit down and divvy it out into the paper categories. This is pretty. This is pretty. This is all floral. Now this could definitely go into foil as a specialty. And I may, since that is such a nice piece. Okay, so you would say, well, now why did this other piece not make it into that category? Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I didn't find it. Okay, so why did this one not make it? This one is simply much, much prettier. So I don't see this as specialty, just floral. This is specialty, okay? That is a nice piece of paper. Again, these were from Hobby Lobby. Again, more floral. And that is floral, but isn't that a beautiful color? Oh, that's beautiful. That's skin on the floral. Now we got wood grain. And again, I put my brick in with my wood grain because I don't have a lot of brick. But if I did, I would certainly have a category just for brick. But I put brick and wood grain. These are beautiful, but they're as thin. Yeah, they're thin. Okay, again, that's birch trees, but that's wood grain. Okay, now we have some... What would this be? This is like cotton. So I definitely could throw this in with a kit that I have going on. You know what I could do? I could put that in with my Simple Stories Spring Farmhouse. So that's going in a kit. So that's another group. So if you're running across papers and it makes you think of a kit that you just put together or one you have put together, put in with those kits. More wood grain, more wood grain. Oh, and what do we have? We absolutely have a kit here. Okay, what is this? This is called Farmhouse by Hobby Lobby. And so it says $8.99, but I'm sure I paid $4.50 because I wouldn't have paid $9 for this. But it's cute for $4.50. Let's just open this up because I am addressing these piles. So what did you get? Oh, you got 10 pieces of paper, a cardstock sticker sheet, and an alpha sheet, and a 3D. Okay? And I think I already took one of that sticker sheet out and I already put it in a kit. Okay? So I'm going to be absolutely lazy about this. And I'm putting this all in that Simple Stories Spring Farmhouse because it's easier. I have that in my Rascal. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's how fun. I'm putting all of them in a kit. So that would be easy peasy. So there we have something that's going in a kit. We have these papers that are just luscious. Now, some people would consider these leaves not floral, but that's just where I would see them. So that's my floral. And we have some school papers. This is some school papers. Okay. That's a category. I have specialty. Okay. So that's going in specialty. I have wood grain and wood grain and wood grain. Okay. Now, like I said, these were 6 or 10 cents. They're very, very thin, but for 6 or 10 cents, you can't complain. Honestly, you can't. Okay. So that's wood grain. So that's a paper category. This is travel. Okay. And this is maps. Okay, maps and travel. Those are going to go together. And this is story-based papers. And what did I have? This goes with a Cartabella collection. And then I had... these absolutely are office/calendar. So very, very fun. And then, of course, my lovely group here of new papers. So that is how I address that paper pile, just dividing it into categories, and it's easier for me to put this away. Now, this will probably sit here for a day because I'll have to hit my timer for 15 minutes to do this because, you know, sometimes I drag my feet putting things away, but you have to because you want to be able to find it the next time you need it. Absolutely. So that is the long story and a little bit of work showing what level 3 is. Yes, absolutely spending more time in this category of pattern papers, whatever you choose to do, putting it away, maybe ordering some, maybe going through and inventorying what you have. Absolutely. Anything to do with pattern paper. And so I will have some videos listed below about paper pads too, because that can go in your pattern paper if you consider it that way. So don't forget about your paper pads as well. And then again, if you want to head over to Deborah's Facebook group, you can find my listing of paper sections and paper categories and my specialty papers if you just want to see what it's all about. Yes, but definitely create your own according to how you scrap. So that is week 3. That is a lot to talk about. But when you get to level 3 organizing, it's not just a 10-minute job. No, you're really thinking about your supplies, how you use them, and where you put them. Absolutely. So that is all I have for this week 3. Come back and we will talk about week 4. And hopefully I will show you my progress of this beast right here of my photos. Absolutely. So that's all I have for today. Come back to RTS. Wear a smile on your face today. Absolutely. And come back because you never know what we're going to do. Bye.